Bonjour and good morning Ramland. As you can see, we are still not back in our usual Radio Rams booth, et je vous demande s'il vous plaît de prendre quelques minutes de votre journée pour regarder notre édition vidéo de Radio Rams. I'm fortunate enough this week to have somebody here to help me with the show, so I'm going to pass it right on over to Mr. St. Marie.
Well, good Monday morning, Ramland. We trust you're able to enjoy some of the lovely sunshine this past Saturday, even while you're physically distancing from others. Getting some good old-fashioned vitamin D, found in every ray of sunshine, is a necessary ingredient in the recipe for our personal well-being. Well, the question that often runs through my own head every day still is, what am I learning? Now that my former very structured days have become much more flexible, I've decided to improve my own literacy skills by tackling the daily crossword puzzles in the newspaper. There we go, 2 of them. Even with spending 2 years in grade 8, I find my vocabulary at times is pretty limited. I can't complain that I don't have time anymore because now I do have the time. So now it's an either before or right after dinner activity that is clearing out some of my cranial cobwebs. I've also made a conscious choice to do some personal development. So I'm currently reading this book. It's called The Blessed Life by Robert Morris. It's an encouraging and challenging book that is helping me rethink my personal finances and how I can better help those around me, especially in the current pandemic. Now back to you, Zyler. Tell us about what you've been learning this past week.
Thanks, Mr. St. Marie. I've been learning a lot as well. Just yesterday, I learned how to use a skill saw, and yes, I do still have all 10 of my fingers. Moving on from that, attention all football players and anyone interested in playing football at Laurier next year. The football coaches have organized daily events and challenges for players starting today. If you're interested in learning more, check the link below in the description. Monday's challenge is the Touchdown Dance Challenge. Watch the coaches give you a demo. Any football players interested in participating should join the Google Classroom with the code DS2X4MW, that's DS2X4MW, to gain access to the folders to turn in the video files. The highlights will be shown next week on our Laurier Rams football Facebook page and Instagram accounts. Now, back to you, Mr. St. Marie.
This past week has shaken many Canadians with the senseless killings of 22 people in a remote part of Nova Scotia. While the numerous investigations are ongoing and could take months to complete, the grieving process has been delayed by the COVID pandemic, which compounds this tragedy. Please keep all those affected in your thoughts and prayers in the days ahead. The Ontario government announced that they have reached a tentative settlement with the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation last Monday. The OSSTF was the last of the education sector unions to settle with the government. Members will be voting on the agreement sometime in late May. And yesterday, Education Minister Steve Lease announced that publicly funded schools in Ontario would remain closed until the end of May. That news will affirm the e-learning will be business as usual. That's the model for the foreseeable future. And the nicer weather is a welcome reprieve for those suffering from cabin fever. But as our public health officials remind us, Rams, that we are not out of the woods just yet. So please remember, Rams, to look after yourselves, keep your distance, and please remember to wash your hands frequently. We trust you've seen and enjoyed the 2 videos that feature our very talented Laurier staff engaged in a wide range of activities. and we want to publicly thank Miss Courtney Parker for taking the lead on those. Now, back to Zyler.
On another sad note, all graduation ceremonies for this spring have been cancelled. While there is no official backup date yet, the board, as well as Lori, will do their best to find a date that works well for everyone, potentially in the fall. And midterm marks were submitted for only grade 12s at the end of last week and should be available online soon if you have not already received them from your teachers. And the yearbook committee is still looking for your selfies of yourself having fun at home. Keep sending in your pictures to Gemma Toku at tokugem525 at gotvdsb.ca, and the yearbook committee thanks everyone who has already sent in their photos. Now, back to Mr. St. Marie to finish us off for the day with a fun challenge.
Yes, Ramland, you heard that right. Time to step back in time to the last century for the famous weekly broadcast of Name That Tune. Each week, students would hear a musical selection from either a TV show, cartoons, or from the big screen. If students knew the tune, they would write down the answer and dash upstairs to the Radio Rams booth with it. It was often a stampede of excited Rams every week. Thankfully, there was no casualties that occurred over the years. The next day, a winner would be chosen who would receive an awesome prize, meticulously described by our very own Andrew Monroe. So here's how it works in the virtual world, Rams. Once you've heard the tune, send your answers to ramlandnews@gmail.com. Yes, that's ramlandnews, all one word, at gmail.com. Zyler and I will recognize the winners with a yet-to-be-determined prize. Are you ready, Rams? Here's our first musical selection for Name That Tune 2020. Well, there you have it, Rams. Put on your thinking caps, and we'll look forward to hearing from you in the week ahead. Well, with the ministry announcement that schools will remain closed for the month of May, we want to encourage you to stay engaged in our virtual e-learning world. Well, have a great week, Rams. Please remember to make good choices about how you spend your time and who you spend it with. We look forward to seeing you back next Monday with a new month and another edition of Radio Rams. Bye for now.